Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. Alright. Today we're going to be working on the Fate Lonely Dance. It's pretty much my Fate diceless game. As we went over yesterday, this is our to-do list, effectively, for it. And how we want to do things. But first things first, what we have to do is we have to fix up the conflict system. We need to fix up, effectively, this entire section right here. I have an idea of how I want to do it. It's just going to be a lot of me rewording things. And how can we forget our handy dandy notepad? Right here. Here, I was doing some stuff on it earlier today, so let's bump it up to the right size. Let me just double check the size is right. Yes, I'm very professional and know what I'm doing. I don't. Alright, let's get going, shall we? So, what we wanted to do with conflict is effectively merge everything. Now, my idea, if we go down to advanced conflict, was taking in escalations as is. I think escalations serve as a pretty good thing. Secondly, I was thinking about either using health or wounds and complications. Now, why I'm thinking about using health or wounds and complications to add up is based on this right here. No, wait. This and equipment lists. To do these two, actually to do these top three, this needs to get fixed. Because these fundamentally deal with conflict. It's a lot of words going down. Effectively, it's a filter. You have to fix one thing to fix a second thing. I'm going to open up this granola bar I bought because I am peckish right now. I haven't really. I had dinner already, but it was a great dinner. Also, we're listening to Coffee House Jazz, calm jazz music relaxing music, relaxed music meditation, by a relaxed music meditation. Well, let's get to it. Here's what I'm thinking for health. I'm gonna go start from the ground up. With health, I was thinking that each character effectively has a health pool. Let's say health X for right now. And they can use their health in conflicts to gain more beats. However, if you spend that health, it's gone. Doesn't matter if you win the fight, you lose the fight. It's gone. You've lost it. So I might call it something like willpower or something. I don't know. I don't get paid enough to know these things. But the general gist is everyone starts with 10 beats. Let's say that you are a B rank person. And you're going against someone with 10 beats who's a C rank. You, as a 10 beat individual, is going to take out... 3 beats a turn effectively to him. He is going to do 0 beats a turn to you. Is that correct? I might have to change that. Alright. Let's fix that first. That starts the engagement. Let's think, what's the best way of doing this? This is the difficulty with diceless systems, because if this had a dice value associated with it, I know what I'd do. It would be, contested rolls, it would be things like that. But I don't have that. I have a diceless system, because I am a masochist. So, let's reduce this sound a little bit more. The piano there we go. So, I gotta make sure everything works the way it should. Starts the engagement. So, that's your initiative. And, let's see. Effectively what I have in mind for health, as I was saying before, it's spend X to have more of Y. Well, that's what we're trying to find out right now, what Y is. And actually, I'll change that to X. Spend health to have more of X. But the thing is, you lose health equal to X. So you may be a weaker character overall. I may be a weaker character overall. However, I'm spending more of my health on it, so I have more leeway to do things with. And that means I have a higher likelihood of pretty much beating you out. Yeah, which brings me to escalations. Wounds. So wounds are... Yeah, wounds are pretty significant. If you lose a conflict, situations occur. Able to spend more health to gain more X. Able to spend more Y to gain more X. Now what? Y equals resources slash situations. It's pretty much with escalations, kind of as I say it here, it may start as non-lethal, but then escalate into a lethal battle. And then what's that? I can see it in my head. I know what I want to do with it. I can't think of it, though. I'm just going to keep looking at it, though. That is my phone going off. Who is it? It's saying a thing updated that I do not care about. You're biting my cheek too. Maybe I'm just doing this for myself. Guess there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day. So one of the things right now is that if you're a lower rank, unless you change it up, you're not going to win. You're going to automatically lose. I don't want that unless I apply it to like an encounter system. I could apply it to this. So that would be... So what I want to do with the encounter system, that would be... I can see it. I can see how I would do it. So let's say I have a B versus an A, so I would take... They would do 4 to me every turn. What would I do to them? Nothing. I do fucking nothing to them. See my cursor here, kind of moving off to the side for a bit. I actually have the Amber book open. I have a PDF of it. I have that open. Oh wait, no, lock isn't on. One of the things with Amber is that there's technically a two-step combat system. It's compare attribute ranks on what you're actually rolling, and then whoever has the highest wins. That's it. And I've been trying to avoid that with this, because again, as I said before, I wanted to avoid things akin to that. I based it off Amber, however, Amber is not the be-all, end-all system, as it is a 90s game at its core. For better, for worse. No. All right. That's what I'm going to do. When conflict begins. Alright, so what I'm thinking of here at least, is I'm going to take the actions and I'm going to kind of intermingle them with all these. Pretty much every conflict round you get the option. And the idea is when you reduce the amount. Yeah, so let's see. Each character 10 beats to make decisions, start a conflict. A character loses beats equal to the difference in attribute. Press the advantage. I know what I want to say here. I don't know how to word it though. Continue as is what I want to use from right now. That could actually be a method. That could work. Actually, brilliant idea here. So everyone has X amount of beats. And actually it's X plus health beats. Actually, we'll say 10 plus health equal beats. That's your bait. And every combat round it's reduced by a certain amount. Does that work? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, that doesn't work. Thug. Now, I'm being deliberately vague with use of power here because some powers may be a lot different than others. So, for example, let's say, actually, I'm going to use a fight from the series. Rin versus Berserker from Fate Stay Night. Rin has to use her powers constantly because in a straight fight she's going to lose to Berserker. Straight up, she's going to lose. But it's the idea of the situation, so... use a power. Okay. This is the... Yeah, okay. So the idea of switching up is that you change the attribute of the conflict. So instead of strength, you're now dealing with mental. You've fundamentally changed, the pretty much how you're employing the current conflict. But you reduce your beats by half. That'll work. Maybe. I'm going to actually put maneuver in here. Maneuver. Okay. So, before the thing is, you can continue as is. It's pretty much, I'm going to win this fight, I'm just going to continue as is. That's what you're going to do 99% of the time, because again, if you're going to win, you're going to win. You can use a power to give yourself an advantage or an ability to turn the tide of battle. Maneuver, you just change positions and move to a separate location, or escalate the conflict. Escalate the situation, changing the attribute being used. Both characters are allowed to contribute additional health. So the idea is you are fundamentally kind of shifting around and moving around, trying to find yourself in the best position possible. If you're winning a fight, you want to continue as is. Just fundamentally speaking. You just want to continue as is. If you're using a power, you don't get to reduce their beats, but you're using a power to either try to turn the tide of the fight and give yourself a little bit of advantage. Move yourself here. Move yourself in position. Maneuvering is exactly moving into position. It's making sure that you are in a place where you have an advantage and they lose the advantage. While escalating the conflict just changes the attribute being used. However, both characters are allowed to contribute additional health. Yeah, that works. I feel like I should add a separate rule for the escalation there. So what I'm going to do, Fate Lonely Dance, is I'm going to make a copy. Call this one Fate Lonely Dance base version. Okay, so let's Sojiro, I don't want you to leave. Okay, if I were a player, how would I game this? How would I game this? Well, I always want to escalate in something that's better for me. Always escalate the conflict to something better for me. But then I'm never continuing as is. And if no one continues as is, you're just escalating. So I feel like I should put something there. That's it. All right. Steer away. So effectively, what escalating does is you can escalate the situation, changing the attribute being used. Both characters are allowed to contribute additional health. However, the character cannot select that attribute again. So let's say we start off in a fight. We are sword fighting, and I'm going to escalate the situation. We're using warfare. I have thrown away my sword, and I have grabbed you. Now in physical, but you're weaker physically than I am. I've made the decision to go to physical. You're like, all right, I'm going to escalate the situation. We're adding health all the time here. I'm going to escalate the situation. I'm going to go back to warfare. I'm trying to stab you with my sword now. Neither of those characters can go to physical or go to warfare again. They can break off from each other and try to talk it out, or they can do something. They can try that if they want to try to escalate that situation further. But again, at that point, you don't need to. It's the narrative has effectively said that that's not really possible anymore. And it's kind of a GM thing. I should add a double rule for that. I should add a footnote for that. Okay. Okay, negative. Negative skill on the. What do I end up calling? I'm tired. I'm in a runner couple. I need a simpler name for this, but I'm not a runner. God, Kaylee. Yeah, well, that's what I'm effectively trying to do here, at least, is pretty much the more times you escalate, the more wounds you have, health you're losing. So it's kind of that, are you really, how much are you really wishing to bet kind of thing. Now you may be wondering, but what if I deal with someone who, doesn't bet any health ever and just constantly, keeps losing, but never quite dies? Well, the thing is, it's not like you can't keep, these things stack up. Sometimes, since you are the victor, it adds up. That's actually going to be a side note I'm going to put in. There's going to be two side notes in this section. One being about, how escalating actually works, and another side note on that exact reason. Because effectively, the victor gets to decide what happens to you. And again, and what I want to do is the number of escalations kind of lets you determine how much that actually is. So here's my rough 0. All right. All right. So what this is effectively saying is, if you want, you can do anything going below. So we may have escalated 4 times, but I'm only going to give you a minor wound or complication. Or I can give you none. That's an entirely valid option. You can say, I don't want to give you anything. We won in this race. I won, you lost. Why would I give you a There's no reason to give out complications. And that's kind of one of those, in the narrative, there's no reason to give out a complication. However, in a fight, nobody escalates. We nicked each other. I nicked you. It's a bump down. It's your A+ fucking warfare. to a warfare. You know, you're still going to beat me in a straight fight, but I'm, you know, damaged your pride a little bit. Or something similar. And sometimes you want to end fights pretty quickly because you might just re-engage in a conflict right the fuck away. However, at this 5+ escalations, 12 wounds, I'm only going to give masters 10 health. Max. And actually, I'll probably make it a little bit different depending on what your stats are and where I put you. That's going to be in the more unique section. But that's kind of my idea, is that a master, if they get into a serious fight with you, it's harder to recover a master than it is to recover than a servant. Servants, you spend a mana, and I'm going to go over mana a little bit in a different section. But you spend mana, you can heal their wounds, you can fix them up. The mana's kind of a limited, but not really limited resource. To really kill a servant, to really kill them, you gotta keep escalating. You gotta have them keep risking their health until you kind of reach that critical point where, yeah, if I win this fight, it's all over. Or, hey, gotcha. I put you in a situation where I'm the only one who can win. I've used my powers. I maneuvered you into a position where I win. Kind of definitively speaking. I have the advantage. I have won. And if I inflict this wound, I'm going to reduce you to 0 health and you are defeated. Yeah, okay. I want to keep Joan here, so I'm going to reduce her to... I'm going to make her itty-bitty down there so I don't lose her. We're going to... Let's go, Genu. We need to put you right here. I want to blow you up. Actually, I'm going to blow you up pretty big. This should actually kill a second bugbear, which is fights not going as long as I would want, because again, it's pretty easy to survive. Servant on servant fights, that can actually take a while if they want to go that long. But again, the idea is that they're not supposed to take that long because you're supposed to maneuver to where you got to be. Yeah, no, that works. That looks a little bit better. Alright, that actually cleaned up that. And that also gives us a solid foundation to work everything else off of. because now we have all of these systems in place, we have all of this in place, and we can now augment these. You know, using a power now has a tangible effect. So probably what we're going to work on next time, we're going to work on either, actually, we're going to work on, I think we're going to start from the top down and go down. So we're going to work on creating a character, probably after attributes are done. Here I'm going to do some derived statistics like health and stuff. And then we'll work on powers, perks, and skills. And so let's see, we're going to do, we'll make that priority numero uno. We'll make this second priority. Third priority. And go from there. So, alright, everything looks good to me on that front. We've been going for about 57 minutes, but I started a little bit late, so I'm going to call it a little bit early. But everything looks good to me. I think we made a lot of headway today, actually, by fixing a conflict. We actually made a second version. Always keep your base copies in check, just to make sure you know what changes you've made. And that actually reminds me, before we wrap this up, we're going to do those two little sidebars. This is always hard for in-universe examples, because I like using in-universe examples for stuff, but I try not to spoil things sometimes. God, what's a good example? Oh, I know. All right. So effectively, the method of the escalation ask the reason for the escalation bit is to kind of stop power gamers from abusing the system a little bit, in addition to kind of saying, okay, no, there's no going back. You can't just endlessly say warfare, 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 warfare. No, it's you kind of got to think about it a little bit more. Just like, okay, you're not going to win this fight with warfare, because everyone will just endlessly escalate into it. That's more of a gamey bit in there, but in lore, in setting, what you can do to justify it is, people just getting tired. You can keep fighting till the very last breath, but you stop fighting at some points and simply are just wailing at each other, and it's more fate or it's more this. But also draw the right here. Sometimes you can't go back. You can't de-escalate a situation. You can only escalate it. So you always have to, narratively speaking, always keep anteing up. And sometimes there is no more room for escalation. Actually, I should actually add that bit. Okay, there we go. Alright, I think we wrapped those up for now. Everything should be good there. Thank you all for sticking around. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Tomorrow we're going to be continuing working on it, as again we're going to be working on giving the characters more personality, and by simply going down the list and working on it when we can, on what we can see. Alright, well thank you all very much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.